Welcome to this episode of the Brush and Soap and Blade Podcast, where we look forward to shaving every day. Welcome to episode 115 of the podcast. My name is Rick Louise. I'll be your host this week. Okay, so we got another email from Art, a trip down memory lane, at least for me. Hopefully you'll enjoy it too. Talk a little bit about, barbershops. An email from Justin, new time just starting wet shaver, trying to figure out which end is up, and give him a little bit of help anyhow. It's a great email. Thank you. And going to Friday shave of the day. Plus, of course, there's always a little bit of rant in there. What's going on over at Soap Commander? Got an email from the Soap Commander, and he's got some stuff going on there you might want to check out. Monday's shave of the day. I am still loving my NATO gas cans. In fact, I even went out and bought 2 more. Good stuff. They're doing fabulous. Really, really like them. And in fact, this time when I bought them, they actually sent me the nozzles with the things. It's like, holy cow, that's like $20 a piece right there. It's like, good stuff. So loving that. And in fact, I went out this afternoon to use one of them before I filled up the other one, just to see if I needed to fill up one of the 2 that I have right now. And they were actually, the sides were sucked in because, they'd been sitting out there, and, when I things have gotten just a little bit cooler, and the fluid in there is condensed just a little bit. So yeah, the sides had sucked in and everything, and popped the seal on them, and they were good to go. I mean, no smell in the garage. Great stuff. So I'm still loving those things. I may get a couple more. Anyhow, then we throw in Tuesday's shave of the day. Cross-eyed and brain dead. Boy, there's a statement, huh? Anyhow, this episode is going out Thanksgiving 2015. And so just threw a little segment in the end there that what I'm thankful for. But one of the things that I didn't mention that I really need to, I've been doing this podcast for a little over 2 years. And tonight, it was just one of those nights where I was sitting downstairs. I'd had the day off. I'd gotten some stuff done around the house and, done around the yard. And I was just kind of sitting there, and I got to admit, I wasn't feeling it. It was like, I don't know if I want to go do this. And my wife, bless her heart, looked over at me and said, wait a minute, you've been doing this 2 years. Unless you're dying, you better get up there and do it. I'm thankful for that. I really am. Someone who supports you in that manner to kind of give you the shove that you need to keep you going. Yeah, I'm thankful for that. It's good stuff. I'm blessed. I truly am. And, I am remembering it, this whole weekend. I try to remember it on a daily basis, but here's an opportunity for me to say it in public. So thank you to my wife for keeping me going and kicking me in the butt to get me up here in the studio to do a podcast. Anyhow, that's the show for this week, and hopefully it all works out good. And, let's get on with this thing. So Art wrote me another email. He says, "Hi, wow, thanks for referencing my email on the air. I forgot about aftershaves. Thanks for reminding me. I love your rants. They're spot on. You mentioned Armistice Day. If you want to learn more about World War I, the war to end all wars, I suggest listening to Don Carlin's Hardcore History," and he gives a link, shows 50 through 55, Blueprint for Armageddon, parts 1 through 6. It's about 21 hours, but the first 3 episodes are fantastic. And Don Carlin is a great podcaster and teacher of history. Well, thanks. I'll check it out. I haven't listened to him before, and I enjoy things like that. So, thanks a lot. I'll check it out. So I'm writing about your take on barbershop scents. They seem rare in shaving creams, but fairly common for shaving soaps. What do you think of them? Are they a true reproduction or emulation of the smell of an old barbershop, or the creator's fantasy of what a barbershop should have smelled like? Were the creators actually ever in an old barbershop? Well, now that's a good question. I don't know. I've been to a lot of barbershops, I've kind of stayed away from the salons, if you will, and done more of the traditional barbershop smell. more of the traditional barbershop scene. It's just the way that I am. I think I've been to a salon maybe twice in my whole life. It's just not for me. I'm sorry. But, and I happen to be blessed to be living in a part of the country and have lived in parts of the country that have, honest to God, barbershops. And, so yeah, there is a certain scent that goes with a barbershop, but it's more of the scent of the colognes and splashes and things like that were routinely used. That's my take on it. So let's get on with the email. It would seem that one's idea of what a barbershop smell like is entirely dependent upon geography and age. An upper-class European barbershop scent might be quite different than a middle-class American barbershop in the 1950s and early 1960s. For the most part, the old-time barbershops are gone, replaced by chain store salons with unisex themes. Long rows of hairdryers, washing basins for hairs, dozens of chairs, flat-screen TVs, and streaming music. In my recollection, a traditional American barbershop in Middle America had 2, maybe 3 chairs, 1 or 2 barbers on duty, and was a very popular place before long hair came into style. Yeah, and usually in the barbershops that I had been in, what I had seen is, or what I have seen is, yeah, there are 2 or 3 barbers, and there are 3, sometimes 4 chairs. One of those chairs always has the upholstered board across the arms so that kids can get up on there and get a haircut. It's just something that I remember. And there was an old, and in fact my son even recalls him. His name was Ray, and he was a Navy veteran. He had been a barber in the Navy. And we found him here in the town, not too far away, closest barbershop, as a matter of fact, when the kids were old enough to actually get a barbershop haircut. And we went and saw Mr. Ray. And Mr. Ray cut our hair, and he knew the boys, and, they grew up with him. And when the rent got too high for Mr. Ray where he was at, and he was having a bit of a spat with the landlord anyhow, because the landlord wanted to turn the barbershop into, well, something a little bit more upscale. Okay, great. Anyhow, Mr. Ray moved about 15 miles further away. And every other week we would get in the truck and we would make that trek on Saturday morning to go see Mr. Ray. And, it's funny. You get, especially when you find somebody that runs an honest-to-God barbershop, well, you kind of want to support that and you go out of your way to support that. And unfortunately, Mr. Ray's health deteriorated and he passed away. I'm pretty sure. And, but I know his health deteriorated. He ended up closing up the barbershop, and, that was, 10, 15 years ago, somewhere in that neighborhood. Since then, my kids decided they would rather have their mother cut their hair, and, I had to go find another barbershop. And, I found one, and, 2 barbers, 4 chairs, not quite the same. One of the barbers was an old, oh gosh, he was old. He unfortunately passed away as well. And, the younger guy who owns the place, he's carrying on, and, that's a good thing, and I will support him as long as I possibly can. But yeah, the barbershops that I remember were, 2, 3 chairs, maybe 4 chairs, all lined up in a row with the counter behind them and a mirror behind them, and the people sitting in the chairs in front of the barber chairs. That way, while the barber was cutting your hair, you could sit there and talk and shoot the breeze about what was going on in the community, politics, how the local football team was doing, all that good stuff. Yeah, it is something that I search for. It is something that I enjoy, and it is something that I'm willing to support. So anyhow, he goes on. So what does a barbershop from that time period smell like? First, despite what Hollywood and movies might have you believe, shaves were not popular. They were reserved for the wealthy, or perhaps done on one's wedding day or another special occasion. The average American could not afford to have a daily barber shave, nor probably the time to have it done. I've seen them done on rare occasions, but it was not common. On the other hand, if one was old enough to shave, the barber would clean up the back of the neck in a straight line below the sideburns with lather and a straight edge, followed by a large splash of some generic aftershave, probably sold by the gallon, if not the 55-gallon drum. So what did a barbershop smell like? Perhaps nostalgia or a fantasy of times past, blurring memories? Well, it's interesting because the barbershops that I'm talking about, that I'm just sitting here kind of reminiscing, and thank you for allowing me to reminisce on that because I haven't thought about that in a while. But, the barbershops that I have frequented, yes, in fact, they do. They'll trim up and straighten things out and throw on some warm lather and clean up your neck and the hairline around your ears and your sideburns, make sure they're all even up. And yeah, in fact, they do splash on some generic aftershave. And I'll have to ask just what it is that they use, because it does have a distinctive smell. And the last two barbershops that I've been to have used the same stuff. So that's curious. I'll have to, let me do a little research next time I go. Anyhow, he goes on, I remember as a child that barbershops were popular places. The one or two barbers would be busy with maybe a half dozen patrons waiting their turn. Short hair for boys and men was the order of the day, and when you walked in, the most immediate scent was that of fresh cigarette smoke along with the occasional but not always present cigar, since just about everyone smoked. The air was thick with unfiltered Camels and Lucky Strikes. Chain smoking was common and ever-present in small rooms. Ever-present common sense are usually forgotten or filtered out of memories as they are just part of one's existence. They're nothing special, but rather just exist. Once you sat down to wait your turn, the deeper smell of stale tobacco scent permeated much of what was in the room. The tabletops would have 6-month-old Archies and Superman comic books for the boys and 2-year-old copies of Boy's Life, and for the older gentlemen, there'd be copies of the sports section of yesterday's paper. Overflowing ashtrays littered the tables. Newsprint and stale tobacco was the odor of the day. Mysteriously, sometimes would be the scent of spilt whiskey that might come and go. The memory is vague, and I'm not sure why it was there or where it came from. Barbicide antiseptic was in the air. Since full shaves were not common, aftershave was not the prevalent scent, except for the industrial strength, but fleeting aftershave splashed on the back of necks after the straight edge was used. I doubt it was Old Spice. That was what consumers bought for home use along with bay rum. I'm not sure what the aftershave scent was, although I know some refer to it as a Pinot scent. However, Brill cream was common and some other pomade along with some products for crew cuts to keep the fresh buzz cut looking good in the front. So, where are the soap companies getting their idea of barbershop scents from? Are they a nostalgic dream, a fantasy, or real experiences from a day long gone from the American scene? If I were to create a barbershop scent today, the recipe might be 1 cup of fresh cigarette smoke, 2 cups of stale cigarette smoke permeating everything, a dash of cigar smoke that comes and goes, 2 dashes of old spilled whiskey from somewhere, a touch of old musty magazines in yesterday's sports section from the paper that has passed through the hands of 50-some-odd customers, 4 ounces of generic industrial-strength aftershave that dissipated in minutes, a bit of Brill cream or other hair pomade, 8 ounces of barbicide. So what do you think? Are the current barbershop scent nostalgia, realistic, or fantasy creations of the creators? Regards, Art. Great email. Oh my gosh. Taking me down memory lane. I'm here to tell you. Okay, yeah, the sense of old, I get that there are certain scents, and again, I'm gonna go when I see my barber next, I'll ask him what what scent that is. But yes, in fact, there is just a bit of an industrial strength aftershave, if you will, and that scent, I think, is what people, when they create that that barbershop scent, that's kind of what they're going for. It's reminiscent of that to a certain extent. But I think there's some nostalgia and there's some fantasy in there as well. And that's what makes it so special, because everybody has just a little bit different nostalgia and a little bit different fantasy. And so it can suggest hints and things to one person. And in fact, you may not be able to relate to it, but you may be able to relate to others just fine. And, well, there you go. Yeah, like I said, I'll have to ask. I do enjoy the barbershop scents. I do enjoy barbershop scent soaps. To a certain extent, the American blend of fine aftershave, kind of reminds me of a barbershop scent as well, even though I know it's not. It's interesting. Yeah, I remember as a young kid, one of the things that still to this day plagues me to a certain extent is I remember that when I would get my haircut and they would use the electric clippers, I would have a tendency to fall asleep because, well, first off, it was typically comfortable and warm, and the vibration of the clippers on my neck would just, for some reason, almost like a dog being petted or something, just put me out like a light. I still have to be careful for that, and I think that's one of the reasons that I talk. Just so I don't fall asleep in the barber chair and end up with something being taken away that, well, I didn't intend. But there you go. And it is interesting. There's also for me a smell that is reminiscent of the vinyl upholstery on the metal chairs. They were always some Scottish red or something like that, or a blue vinyl upholstery. The bottoms of the chairs were always really thick, and they had chrome armrests, and the backs were upholstered with the same, cheesy vinyl. And they'd been around forever. They were in good shape. They weren't cracked or anything like that, but, you could tell that millions of people had sat in the things, and there was always the kind of the reminiscent undertone of the vinyl on the floor, because it was always kind of it was a clean vinyl, but it was always a checkerboard of some type or something like that. But it was always vinyl because it was easy to sweep. There was just the smell of cut hair and oil from the clippers. I remember that. Have to have a dash of oil in the clippers. Just that smell, the heat and the friction would cause kind of a smell from the cut hair, and then the oil itself kind of evaporating into the air. And every now and then you'd get the smell of the shaving soap itself. Typically they would have the stuff in a can that would go through the heater, and that's what they would put on your neck before they would clean things up. And so that has a distinctive smell as well. You got to throw a touch of that in. And yeah, it's a trip down memory lane. I like it. Thanks, Art. I also got an email from Justin. Hey there, Rick. I came across your podcast the other day and have been binge listening to them randomly. I'm currently listening to your 112 episode and heard you talking about the laser blades just all of a sudden losing their sharpness. Strangely enough, I'd had the same situation last night with a shark blade. I should say I'm new to wet shaving. I have a Micro Touch 1. Thankfully, I saw it at the box store. Otherwise, I'd be still stuck in cartridge hell. So I'm working my way through a sample pack of blades now. I have noticed that the razor I have is a little too mild for my liking. It's not getting as close as I'd like. I've been watching Geo Fatboy's videos on YouTube and have been looking at the Mercure HD or the Mercure Future for my next razor. What are your thoughts on this? If you don't mind me bending your ear for advice. Great show. Looking forward to listening to them all. Okay, well, first off, thanks for the email, Justin. Be careful binge listening. You may end up with a twitch that will require therapy to take care of. Anyhow, and also, if especially the early ones, if you don't like it, well, I'll give you a full refund. Okay, so, yeah, it's interesting when you start looking at razors, because what you're looking for in a razor is something that is mild enough, but not too mild. Aggressive enough, but not too aggressive. And so there's a balancing act. And the thing is that balancing act also has to do with that variable called the razor blade. So to a certain extent, sometimes the mildness or aggressiveness of a razor also relates to the blade that you are using. So be careful with that. So if you have a razor that is feeling relatively mild with one blade or one type of blade, if you switch blades on it, sometimes, not always, sometimes it feels different. It feels more aggressive. Okay, so what are some of the variables that cause that aggressive feel in a blade or in a razor combination? Well, first off, if you look at a double-edged razor from the guard, whether that is a bar guard, whether that is an open comb setup, but there's a guard that's at the bottom of the blade that prevents the blade from contacting your skin just straight off, okay? It's the safety bar. It's the safety of the safety razor, essentially. And it's usually, it's that bottom plate, okay? Then you have the razor itself, and then you have the top cap. Now, usually, if you look at a picture under magnification, there is an angle where your face or where a surface contacts between the top cap and that bottom bar. And if you made a straight line right there, the razor is in between those two. The razor blade is in between those two. And what you'll see is, depending on which razor blade you have, what you end up having is that razor is either closer to that line, that contact line between that safety bar and the top cap, or it's further away. If it's further away, it will feel less aggressive. If it's closer to that line, in other words, the blade itself is essentially closer to your skin, it will feel more aggressive. So that's one variable, is the distance that blade is being held from your skin, how close the actual edge of the blade is to your skin. Okay. Now, in most cases, you would want that blade being pretty close to that line. I mean, you're talking just a hair one way or the other, but it will make a difference. And some blades, I'm convinced anyhow, and I may be all wet on this, but I'm convinced that some blades in their grinding processes, they're actually wider. And so the distance from edge to edge, that width distance, is actually more in some blades than in others. And that creates a blade that feels more or less aggressive. Now, the other thing that is something that needs to be considered is the amount of gap. Okay, now the gap is the distance below the blade, below the razor blade itself, and that safety bar. And essentially what that does is it allows your skin to kind of, the non-scientific terms here, so I apologize for that, but what happens is in between that safety bar and the blade, your skin, since it's not a solid surface, has a tendency to kind of squish in there, which actually brings the blade closer. So the more gap you have, the more aggressive your razor is going to feel. Now, the problem that you run into is that if you have a blade or a razor that is too aggressive, then what you set yourself up for is things like razor burn, irritation, things like that. So it's a balance. It's a happy medium. It's something that you have to learn with experience. Now, Any of the Mercures that are out there are excellent razors. I don't have an HD and I don't have a Future. I do have a Bakelite and I do have a Slant, and I have been very happy with both of those. Now, the Slant, by its very nature, is just a more aggressive razor. But the little Bakelite unit, wow, that is a heck of a razor. And I really have enjoyed that. So I'm a little hard-pressed to give any advice because the majority of my razors are, vintage classics. For me, a Mercure Progress maybe might be the way to go, especially just starting out because it's adjustable. You have the ability to change the gap, and because you have the ability to change the gap in an adjustable razor, you have the ability to change the perceived aggressiveness of the razor and blade combination. So that may be an option as well. But you can't go wrong with just about any of them. I mean, all the now, one that is very inexpensive that I talked about, and I know there have been others talked about it, is the little Lord razor. It is an inexpensive razor. It's only about $8. It is a wonderful shaver. So, if you're not looking to spend a lot of money and just want to play around with something different, that would be an option as well. And but anyhow, let me know what you end up with, or what your other thoughts are, and we'll see if we can't answer them on air. And Justin, thank you very much for the email. Thanks for finding me, and thanks for writing. All right, well, another fine morning out here in the truck. All right, so we're driving to work today and thought I'd tell you about, the shave of the day. In fact, the shave of today and, the shave of yesterday. In a nod to Art, because of his email last week that I read, rather long email, rather involved email, made a good point, though. Once you get a little bit outside the realm of just the razor and the blades, you can spend money. A lot of it. So in a nod to Art, what I did in the last couple of days is I've shaved in the shower. Now, I shaved in the shower in the way that, I used to shave in the shower. Now, I got to admit, okay, Monday I was running late, and it just happens to be a very fast way of shaving in the shower, but it is also the way that I used to shave in the shower from way back when. And that is specifically, no mirror and just hand soap. Works great. Take a shower. Last thing you do, wash your face and, shave. And so that's what I did. Now, if you do that, you can in fact save money because all you're using is a razor blade handle and then razor blades. And then depending on what aftershave you use, you can throw some money away at that, but But anyhow, so yesterday I happened to use my Gem Featherweight with the Gem stainless blade in, and I'm here to tell you I do not like that blade. I need to change it out because it's done. It's not smooth, it's not comfortable, it's just not. Now today I happened to use an old Gillette fat handled Tech, beautiful gold tone razor. And when you look at the fat handle, originally, you look at it and you feel it and you go, man, the knurling on this is really nice. The problem is that when I'm using it, I have a tendency to get soap all over my hands, and quite honestly, the thing gets slippery in the soap. So even though it looks like it's got a real nice textured and knurled handle, I did find it to be just a bit slippery. Not bad, but a bit slippery. So it's one of those when I'm shaving, I'm kind of indexing my fingers around so that I know that a half twist or a quarter twist or whatever for alignment, and make sure the part of the razor that I'm wanting to shave with is flat against my face instead of like the end. Shaving with an end cap is uncomfortable. Anyhow, so the flat handle Tech, and I married that with a Rapira blade. Now, the Rapira blades are really, really nice blades, very smooth. They do a very nice job. I've always been happy with those, and today it proved no slouch either. It did a very good job, and So, single pass shave, kind of single pass and touch up all at the same time. And off we go to the races. And quite honestly, I've got, a little bit more than just a socially acceptable shave. It's pretty close. If I'd have taken the time and gone another pass, I probably would get BBS, but I'm just shy of it. So that's okay. But, it's one of those things where, you can save money if you want to, or you can go the hobby route. It's up to you. And I kind of go, it depends. Sometimes I go a little bit this way and a little bit that way. I try not to go overboard in my expenditures. Now, I will admit there are some people that do. And that's okay. That's what they enjoy, and that's cool. And quite honestly, it's those guys that sometimes bring great reviews and alert us to new products and new things. And, that's good. That's good for the whole community. So I enjoy everyone, and I also enjoy, quite honestly, I enjoy frugal shavers. I enjoy frugal shavers sharing tips. It's one of those things where, sometimes someone thinks outside the box, and next thing you know, it's like, oh, wow, I never thought about that. Let's try that. Yeah, that works pretty good. So, we've got a huge community out here, and it's a good community. A lot of very, very intelligent people, and otherwise you wouldn't be wet shaving. I'm convinced that wet shaving is a sign of, extreme and immense intelligence and forethought, and, Anyhow, I like to have fun sometimes, especially in the morning after I've had to do all kinds of stuff at the house. Get up in the morning first thing. Can you do this? Can you do that? Can you do the other thing? Oh, my gosh, just leave me alone. Let me take a shower. Let me shave. Anyhow, it's all good. So, it's one of those things, and it's a beautiful day. Got a nice shave. I think I'm ready. I married all this up today with a little bit of Brut aftershave, a little fougere smell, and we'll see what the day brings. So far, it's full of sunshine. Hopefully it'll stay that way. Hey, if you get a chance, I got an email from Soap Commander, from the headquarters of Soap Commander, and they got all kinds of things going on. First off, they have a post-Thanksgiving sale from November 28th to November 30th. So they've got 15% off the website, free gift with purchases over $100, and free shipping for anything over $50. So, man, that's good stuff. They also have a seasonal scent that they're working on. You sign up for the seasonal scents, and they'll send you out seasonal products 4 times a year. So that seems like an interesting deal in case anybody is interested there. But, give him a shot. Give him a shout. Go check out Soap Commander, and all his stuff, he's got great products over there, and you won't be disappointed. So give him a look. Well, it is a cold morning out here. It is in the 20s, 29 degrees. So rather frosty. And it's an interesting phenomena. There are some weird people out here driving. There are people driving their cars at 3 miles an hour for some reason. I have no idea why. Lady was at a stoplight. The light turned. She turned the corner and went 500 feet up the road at 3 miles an hour. Cars packed up behind her like nobody's business, and 3 miles an hour. That was an incredible sight. But there you go. That's the joys of, just doing a podcast while you're driving. Anyhow, shave of the day. Okay, so for the last couple of days, what I have been trying, more of as an experiment than anything else, is I've been shaving in the shower, and I have been using, no brush. I've been using some soaps, and I had a bunch of soap samples, and I wanted to try, just to just to lather them up in your hand and shave that way, so that you just have a razor, the blade, a shower, and the soap, and it's no big deal. So far, this is what I found. Regular hand soaps, regular bar hand soaps, the kind that you shower with, actually work pretty good because they have a slickness to them, at least for mine, because I have soft water. They have a slickness to them that makes them very workable and very doable for shaving. And for years, that's what I used, just kind of as a point of reference. Now, any coating that you get from that soap is not terribly thick, but it is very slick. So there you go. One of the things that I used was a couple of samples of Soap Commander, and still had some samples lying around, and so grabbed them. And the Soap Commander soaps produce, when you're lathering your hand, a much thicker lather, I guess, or, I don't know if I should call it lather or not. It's not really a lather because you're not using a brush. And I mean, it's just like, well, we'll call it lather just for the sake of argument. Anyhow, it is much thicker than regular soap. Still provides excellent glide, and it's a lot thicker. And it performed very nicely like that. I mean, it just did. Now, I used one today. It was a soap sample. It was a Hungarian lavender soap sample. I don't know where it came from, but I used it, and it produced a lather that was thinner than most hand soaps that you use. And so, while it did the job, it didn't do the job particularly well. But there you go. I mean, those kind of things happen. But it is doable, and so essentially what I found is that it is doable, and it's not outside the realm of possibility, and it's not utterly crazy to forego the brush and just shave with soap and the razor and the blade. And again, samples, because they're small and usually kind of like a small bar of soap type format, seem to work very, very nicely for that. So today's shave, the whole time I've been using a fat-handled tech, and just recently I put in a repair blade that is doing a very, very nice job, and so far I'm on my third shave with it, and all is good with the world. Just shy of BBS. I mean, it's pretty close. At this point, I'm convinced that the only way that I can get a really good BBS shave is to either shave with a straight razor or at least finish with a straight razor. It's weird. It's like the bar has been, raised. It's just so much easier for me to get a BBS shave with a straight razor. So, it is curious. And I haven't picked up a straight in about a week, and may have to go that route. Anyhow, like I said, I just wanted to try it. I just wanted to find out. It's kind of a nod to a letter that was sent in that made a couple of statements about very expensive brushes and the cost associated with them. And yeah, some brushes can be expensive. Some brushes can be, not that expensive. Like the majority of brushes that I use are the Samogs, which are price points $25. But at the same time, there are some absolutely beautiful brushes out there that are in the $100 range and up. Start getting into, Wolf and Nathan Clark and, some of the Rudy Vays. And I mean, just, oh goodness, it's, and believe me, it goes up. And there are some that, there's one guy, it's just, oh God, the brushes that he makes, he posts on Instagram. It's just absolutely gorgeous. Almost works of art. You get one of those things like, man, I wouldn't even use it. I'd set it up on a shelf and, just look at it. It's gorgeous. So, yeah, I understand. Brushes can be expensive. And quite honestly, so can razors anymore. I mean, you start getting into things like the One Razor and, a Mongoose or a Cobra or something like that. I mean, you're talking, well, even some of the icons, $100 for a razor? I don't know. That's, for me anyhow, that's a bit much. Maybe if somebody, don't get me wrong, if somebody gave me that as a gift, would I give it back? Oh, heck no. But I'm probably not going to go out and spend that kind of money on myself. Just the way I am. And so, all in all, good stuff this morning, and a beautiful day. Now that the sun is out of my eyes, oh my gosh, again with the visor, it's just, there's just, that one time a year, yeah, it would be amazing. It really would. I would love to see the statistics on this. We do this thing called daylight savings time, and we switch back and forth, and we create this instance where we drive at the absolute peak times for the sun being in our eyes, and I would just love to see the statistics of how many accidents actually, are created, if you will, just because, well, we can't leave Mother Nature alone and think that we're the masters of our own destiny and decide we want to change time. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. Meanwhile, you're trying to drive and the sun is like right in your face. And of course, the oncoming traffic, it's to their back. So they don't realize typically that the sun is in your face and you can't see a thing. And, so they're carrying on and honking and doing all that. And you're doing your best to stay over the side of the road and taking out mailboxes and the list the possible list just goes on and on and on. It is just amazing. I would love to see the statistics of that, We always say, oh, well, you don't want your kids being in the dark. Well, they're in the dark anyhow most of the time. Oh, my gosh. It's just, I don't know. It's another one of those things. We have this tendency to think that we are superior beings when compared to the rest of everybody else, and somehow we got it in our minds that, well, we need to change time. Yeah, I often wonder why we did that. I mean, realistically, why? Was it for farmers? Farmers are just going to wake up when they wake up to get the stuff done that they need to get done. They'll adjust, they'll adapt. That's what farmers do. If you got to get up at 6 o'clock in the morning to get stuff done instead of 7 o'clock, okay, fine. If you got to get up at 5, okay, fine. No big deal. Now, the big thing is that you should have consistency in your life instead of changing twice a year. It's just, God knows the psychosis that we put our kids through changing them back and forth like that as well. It's just amazing. Mini rant. Oh well. Anyhow, that's the shave of the day this morning. Well, plus a little extra. And there you go. Hopefully everybody else has a good day as well. So just a kind of a follow-up report, I guess. It wasn't too long ago that I did a report on the NATO gas cans and how much I really, really like those. Now, I've had these gas cans in my garage for, 2 months now, 3 months. All kinds of weather conditions, exposed to heat, exposed to cold. They're filled with pure gas. No ethanol in them, and for the whole time I have had them, I have had absolutely no leakage, no gas fumes, no nothing. I have moved them around a few times. Once I take the little plastic spout thingy off the nozzle and get down to the original metal nozzle, the nozzle works great. It pours well. It's not too bad. Now, I did kind of go south. I went and bought a cheap, smaller can that I wanted to try, and I wanted to try it just to see if it would fit the nozzles. And it's a cheap Chinese knockoff, and no, it doesn't fit the nozzles, and it's a piece of garbage. And okay, well, I went ahead and ordered a couple more gas cans, just because over time I will have all my plastic cans replaced, and I may keep them around just in case. They're good containers, I suppose, but I will get rid of them and replace everything with metal. And, yeah, they're just so much nicer. The metallic cans are just so much nicer, and they seal well, and they're very durable, and they're very solid, and I've been real happy with the purchase. They're gonna last a lifetime. I told my kids I'd put their names on them so that they could divvy them up when I'm gone. Yeah, so I bought a couple more just because, well, I like them that much. All right. Well, apparently it has decided that fall is over and we are into the cold season. Now, for most of you, you're thinking, what the heck are you talking about? It's been cold for a while. Well, here in South Carolina, being cold is not what we're used to. So when it gets down into the 20s and 30s, it's like, holy cow, who turned off the heat? And that's what it's like this morning. But that's okay. A little bit of frost on the windows, and took me a whole, minute to clean it off. Yeah, I'm just, it's tough living in the South. So anyhow, let's talk about the shave of the day. The shave of the day today. Okay, so I have been kind of lamenting the fact that, I kind of need a straight razor to get a BBS shave, and, so that's what I did this morning. So I did a single pass shave with a double edge, my fat handle tech with a repair blade in it, and then proceeded to continue on with a straight razor. Against the grain to get things cleaned up on the cheeks, and then a couple of passes. And I actually did a pretty good job on my neck, which has always been, a bit of a challenge, but after if I go one direction, kind of from the ear to the Adam's apple in that direction, and then kind of diagonally from the neck up towards the chin in a diagonal motion, it seemed to work very, very nicely. And the thing I think that is most interesting is that when I have tried to do those motions before, it has left some, nicks, scratches, close calls, those kind of things. This time it just seemed to be kind of no muss, no fuss. So I think after, a year and a quarter, year and a half, thereabouts of messing about with straight razors, I'm to the point where I'm comfortable with manipulating the thing to what I need and where I need. So, that's kind of cool, and and it is with some blood involved, if you will, to gain that year and a half worth of practice. But at the same time, that's okay. I'm okay with that. It doesn't bother me any. It's like, I'll make more. If you leak a little bit, no big deal. It'll seal up. It'll heal. You'll make more. It's all right. Yeah, it's all good. Just stay hydrated. Anyhow, so shave of the day today. I went with the Eaton College, the Taylorville Bond Street Eaton College, just because I hadn't used it in a while. I happened to be there, and be quite honest, I was. I'm not going to say I was tired of not using a brush, but I was kind of done with the experiment. I was like, okay, I've proved that it can be done. All right, fair enough. Let's get on with it. And so threw some Eaton College into the old lather bowl, heated with my Coffee Mate mug warmer to a nice warm temperature. So it's the poor man's electric scuttle, and part of the reason, I have to be honest, part of the reason is that I have a teenage son, and when he gets into the shower in the morning, he doesn't leave me just a lot of hot water left. It's just, it's a struggle. It's a challenge sometime to have enough warm water to shave with. And hot water is, no, just don't even go there. Maybe on the weekends, but during the week, no. So when it's cold outside, yeah, if I want a warm lather, I'm going to have to do it by other means, and that's where the little electric coffee warmer solution comes in very, very nicely. And so far, I've been real happy with it. It does a great job. So I do have a lather bowl that has a completely flat bottom that seems to absorb heat very nicely and does a good job transferring the heat. But yeah, it's that's probably the main reason that I enjoy that thing, and one of the reasons that I did in fact want to try it. So it's all good. Anyhow, the lather with the boar brush, Samog boar brush, worked great, and we continued on. Like I said, lathered up one pass with the grain with the Gillette Fat Handle Techno Repair blade. Pretty good start, and then clean everything up with my Case straight razor, and yeah, life is good. All right, well, it was a late night today at the old donut factory, and it just absolutely amused me as I was walking out, because I was kind of talking about statistics and how many accidents potentially happened, with the change of daylight savings time and during that period of time when the sun is right in somebody's eyes. As I was walking out, another colleague of mine was walking out and said, "Yes, it's time to get out of here. I am cross-eyed and brain dead." Which, of course, led me to think, okay, just out of curiosity, how many accidents happen when people go home as compared to when they left? And does it make a difference as to what kind of occupation they've had? You know, for example, if you're not to disparage anyone, because I have worked all kinds of jobs. I have had manual jobs. I have had ones where you sit in front of a computer. I've done just about everything, and trust me, it's all work. I will guarantee that they do not call it work just because that's what they want to call it. If it was fun, you'd have to pay to get in. So it is all work. But, you know, it begs the question, okay, so if you're doing something that is physically tiring, but you still have a lot of mental sharpness, does that potentially lead to less accidents because you're just more aware? Or is it one of those situations where, yeah, you literally are cross-eyed and brain dead, and you get into a car and you become one of the obliviata, driving down the road with not a care in the world and no concern if the car in front of you blows up? It's just, you know, I'm driving home and, you know, or is it one of those things where, like I used to do, work shift work, and drive home after a third shift so exhausted you can barely even breathe, let alone think, and realize that at some point during the trip, you just mentally fell asleep, whether your eyes were opened or not, and you find yourself sitting in your driveway wondering how in God's name you got there. It can be done. I have done it, and I'm sure others have as well. But all these driving conditions just kind of leads me to wonder, you know, just what is going on in people's minds, because it is rather interesting. Now, for myself, I can walk out and be just, well, kind of exhausted with what I have been doing, because I have a tendency to work on something until I'm done. And then I'll get up and I'll go do something else. And I'll do that until I'm done. And then I'll get up and go do something. So I'm always moving. I'm always, you know, it's just my nature. I'm constantly doing things. But it does beg the question, especially when he said, "Yep, I'm brain dead and cross-eyed." And I was thinking to myself, a perfect time to get into a 2-ton moving vehicle and drive down the highways and byways at high rates of speed. Yes, sir. Can't wait to join you. So the Thanksgiving season is upon us. And quite honestly, it is, well, one of my favorite holidays, mainly because, well, all holidays are fun. And I enjoy them partly at this age because I have an opportunity to surround myself with family and friends. There was a time that I did not have that opportunity, and I didn't realize it at the time, but I missed that. Imagine. A social animal called a human being missing being around humans. Who'd have thought that, you know? But first off, very grateful to all you folks out there listening, to all the letters and emails and boxes and stuff and just all the friendships that this podcast has created in this absolutely marvelous wet shaving community. I am especially grateful for the vendors and the quality of people that are in this community. Upstanding, outstanding, fabulous folks. Really is, it makes it fun. It makes it just, I enjoy doing this. I enjoy interacting with you guys. I enjoy answering questions. I enjoy, evangelizing for new folks coming in. I just enjoy it. And part of the reason that I enjoy it, it's kind of like, if you tell somebody about something, it's usually because you like it. And you like the people that are involved in it. Even if you like something and, you have real heartburn with the people that are involved in it, sometimes, you don't, you'll talk about it a little bit when it comes up in casual conversation, but you don't really initiate the conversation because, there's part of you that just doesn't like it. I can't say that about wet shaving. I can only say good things because I've never run into anybody that's not just upstanding and outstanding. And it just makes it fabulous. It makes it a unique community. Do we complain about things? Yeah, all the time. So what? I mean, that's what makes us human beings. Do we agree with each other? No. Nobody ever said we had to. That's called life. And it's okay. If everybody was the same, golly, this would be a boring place, If everybody sat down and said, okay, the only blade to use is, I don't know, a Gillette Green. And the only razor to use is a Parker something or other. And the only, it gets to a point where, and the only shaving foam to use is the goo in a can. It gets to a point where it just becomes silly. And so having variety in the things that we use to shave our faces with on a daily basis, that same variety is encompassed, absolutely encompassed by the very people that we have within the community. There's variety everywhere. And just like shaving, there are certain people that you get along fabulously with and others that you kind of go, okay, maybe. And there's others that you have a conversation with and go, nope, not going to do that one again. That one tore me up. It happens, people. It's no big deal. It's cool. It's all good. It's like one big family, The crazy uncles always get in a fight. That's just what they do. It's just fun. And, when you first walk into the community and first walk into the family, you kind of go, oh my gosh, they're fighting. After a while, you realize, that's normal. They do it all the time. Don't worry about them. It is a unique setup. It really is. And it is very much like a huge family. We have our squabbles. We have what's the word that I'm looking for? I'm going to have to edit this out because I've just gone brain dead. It's part of that cross-eyed and brain dead, and it is affecting me. Luckily, I am still keeping it between the lines as I'm driving down the roads at high speeds. What I was going to say was that, just like any family, just like any, close-knit community, we have our scandals. We have our disagreements. We have our blow-ups, our divorces, our Our marriages, yeah, it's all good. It's all part of it. It makes it one big happy family, whether we realize it or not. Sometimes people go out of control. Yeah, I get that. Your crazed uncle that you normally keep in the closet has too much eggnog and vodka. It happens. But the thing is that overall, when you step back, when you take a view at the whole community at about, let's try the 15,000-foot level, you realize that this is a great community. We have great people, great vendors, and we have a community experience that is not common. And for that, I am grateful. I am absolutely grateful. I'm grateful that I got into this, that I got started way back when, that I decided to do a podcast. I'm grateful that caused me then to jump into the forums and into Twitter and into Instagram, because that really has been kind of, fun. It's really brought a new level of enjoyment to it all. It's it's what makes it great. I'm grateful for the friendships and the people that have, given me clues and hints and told me I was going off the deep end or headed in the wrong direction, or, good gosh, are you really talking about that? Would you stop? It's all good, and I've enjoyed every minute of it. I've enjoyed the fact that hopefully, I think anyhow, that people don't take me too seriously. I don't take myself too seriously, so hopefully nobody else does either. We're all just people, and we're all hopefully out here having a good time and trying to make a better life for ourselves through whatever means we have. It's all good. We're social animals, so the social experience of being on forums and Facebook and things like that, that's part of the experience. And hopefully, people don't get too bent out of shape at what gets put up on Facebook or gets put into a forum or something like that. It happens. Sometimes you have to understand that, there's not a way to have a tone of voice in an email or a letter. I get that. It's all good. But anyhow, I am very thankful for all of you. So, this being Thanksgiving, or at least right on top of Thanksgiving, 2015, thank you once again for being out there. Thank you once again for listening, and hopefully all of you have a great day and a great shave. Well, that concludes this episode of the Brush and Soap and Blade Podcast. I hope you enjoyed listening to it as much as I enjoyed making it. If you have some suggestions or would like a topic covered, drop me an email at brushandsoapandblade@gmail.com or give me a call at 864-372-6234 or contact us on Twitter at BrushnBlade. You can also visit us at our blog, brushandsoapandblade.wordpress.com. As always, we're available on iTunes and Stitcher.